Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exclusive PWMania.com interview. I am, as always, yours truly, Ari Barkin, and today we have with us former WWE, TNA, NWA, and Ring of Honor star PJ Black, formerly known to some of you as Justin Gabriel, but he is PJ Black, and he's got some awesome facial hair that a lot of us have not seen, and it's a great look that it just works. It's awesome, awesome.
Thanks, man. I didn't plan on growing this beard during lockdowns. I kind of just grew a little goatee into a point, and it just started growing and growing. And then I even cut a bit off every week. And I was like, this will work for this new character that I'm trying to launch. This Dr. Darewolf shaman character, which I haven't like fully pulled the trigger on, but I've dropped some hints on it, so it kind of works. So let's see where it goes.
That you already have my attention on that. That is actually a really cool idea what you're working on there. That's definitely this is definitely working. And if you have the ability to grow that, trust me, beards can be easy to grow and sometimes hard to grow. So you've achieved something there for sure. All right. So you did just mention to us an interesting bit, but I really do want to know, what have you been up to lately? Now, we know we saw you return to the ring recently, last October to be more specific. You actually participated in the Impact X Division Championship Tournament. So what have you been up to lately, and should we be ready to see more of you in Impact?
Yeah, I've been very selective on taking bookings. I took the Impact booking because it seemed like fun. It was just the tournament. I love wrestling in tournaments because you get to wrestle multiple people. There's a few guys in that tournament I really, really wanted to wrestle. My favorite thing in wrestling is working people I've never worked before. That to me, that's awesome. I've been very selective taking bookings, but I'm trying to fill it up for summer. I'm working on this new character, and I just haven't fully pulled the trigger on it yet. I've been working on some vignettes. I've sent it to all the big companies out there, and they all like it. But how the business is going right now and how the economy is going right now. So, even if someone doesn't like want to run with it, I will just run with it on the indies. We have social media and wonderful platforms like this who can push certain characters and narratives and storylines, if you will. So I mean, we don't really need big companies anymore. It would be nice to work there again, but it's not something I have my hopes set on. I just really want to show people this character that I've created is like a shaman darewolf character. Once you see it, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's kind of hard for me to put into words. It's more of a visual character.
That I honestly cannot wait to see the progression of this, for sure. Now, you touched on a few interesting things that I will return to a little later on in terms of your opinion on the product and everything. But I do want to kind of talk about a little bit of your history, and you have a very interesting history. Let's take it back for now to February of 2010. It was announced that you would be joining the very first ever season of NXT. Matt Hardy was set as your mentor, and you made your in-ring debut not even a month later in a tag match with Matt. And your opponents were the William Regal and the ever so controversial Ryback. Now, there's a lot to unpack there, just with the one fact of many, but I would love to know what working with William Regal meant to you as someone who was newer on the WWE scene.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, I've been a fan of him ever since I can remember. So going way back, my dad was a promoter in South Africa, and in the 90s, not many people know this, but in the 90s, 80s, early 90s even, South Africa was like an unofficial territory. If you understand the history of wrestling, you remember the territories back then, how like people used to move around. People used to come stay in South Africa for like 6, 7, 8, 9 months at a time. And William Regal was one of them. Fit Finley was one of them. I remember being a kid and seeing Hogan like job to our champion, but there was no internet back then, so there was no record of any of this stuff. So I've all of the British in South Africa, we didn't really have a style either. So like I'm like in the UK you have the catches can, and in Mexico you have lucha libre, in Japan you have the strong style. So we didn't really have our own style, so I kind of combined all these styles from around the world. And Fit Finley and William Regal were some of the characters I watched and I studied, and I still use a lot of their moves and techniques in the ring today. So it was really cool. And I remember the first day too. At that time, like certain moves were banned, right? A lot of like the risky high risk moves were banned. We weren't allowed to do any German suplexes and stuff like that. And I remember Cena saying to him, "This guy hits a really good 450," and Regal was like, "Nah, I've had too many knees in my face and elbows in my face. There's no way that anyone can do that move safely." And he put a crash pad in the middle of the ring, and we put a dummy, and he put it in different angles and different places in the ring, and I hit it perfect every time. He's like, "Okay, I'll take that." So that was kind of like the start for me. So it was a very unique experience that I'll treasure forever.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Now, I'm sure that you've had a lot of experiences that you can treasure forever. But I kind of want to talk about something slightly controversial just for a second. What you did team with Ryback in that particular match that I referenced and whatnot. What is your opinion of him and everything that he has said about has said about the wrestling world the last few years? Are you friends?
Um,
Your relationship like?
we used to be friends. We used to be friends up until a while ago. I remember asking him something or trying to help him on one of his podcasts and steering him in a different direction. And he just got so angry at me that he blocked me, and then I haven't spoken to him since.
Wow, that
But I mean, recently, like I saw him at a signing at the WrestleCon in LA, and I saw him and we talked, and it was like, like catching up, like we've never left off, and it's just like because we were in a faction together, we were in FCW together. So like we go way back. I didn't really follow any of the controversial things that he said. Some people smartened me up to it, and I was like, "Whoa, I can't believe, I can't see how he would say anything like that." And instead of going to dig for this stuff, I'm not really a guy that digs for dirt or anything like that. I was just like, "Oh wow, like, he must have gone through some crazy times." And he tried to explain to me the stuff that he was going through, and I don't know if I'm allowed to repeat any of that stuff, but they have made his life very hard, but that's no excuse for saying some of the things that he did. I don't know exactly what he said, but I know it was pretty harmful, and people kind of like turned on him and stuff. But over the last few years, a lot of us have gone crazy, for lack of a better term. A lot of weird things have happened in the world, and yeah, I mean, I do believe that there's a decent human inside there. I'm not saying he's a bad person at all, but he's probably just been so aggravated with the way things have gone and the way his career has gone. And I know they made a lot of promises that were never kept, and I can relate to stuff like that. But I mean, it really shows your character how you respond to these things. Like I try to keep stuff like that to myself. I had this conversation with the NXT coaches the other day, and they asked me if I was clean on social media. I was like, what does that even mean? Like all my stuff on social media is in character. Like I would never show the world the real me or what my beliefs are, because I think everyone's different, and you don't want to. We're entertainers. We entertain people. I don't think our real values. This is just me personally. I don't think my real um, values should be broadcast to the world. The character I play on TV, that's the stuff I do on social media. This is probably the most real interview you'll see of me.
and it's an honor to conduct it with you. That's pretty cool. All right, well, thank you for that answer. Moving on and kind of continuing along the history of you and how you came onto the scene and everything. So sabotage rarely occurs on an episode of WWE Raw, but when it does happen, whether Brock Lesnar is involved or not, it creates for a very chaotic but fun atmosphere. Now, from a fan's perspective, on a particular episode of Raw from June 7th, 2010, and I'll never forget this moment, but you all interrupted the Cena Punk match and then went on to completely destroy the surroundings. How did it feel to be a rebel?
That was kind of cool. Like none of us really knew what to expect that day. NXT was just over, and we thought we were all going to get sent back to developmental, but they called us to TV in Miami that day, and Vince called us into his office and laid out this plan, and we were all like, yeah, that I guess it sounds cool. You're a self-made billionaire. You know what you're talking about. We just couldn't envision it, we couldn't see it. Like usually in wrestling, everything is recycled. Dr. Tom used to say this all the time: what's old is new, and what's new is old. There's hardly anything new that happens, right? So as a wrestler, you can always kind of go back to a storyline or an era or a character or anything and kind of reference that and see how you would play this out, right? But there was no reference to that. I mean, the closest was maybe like NWO stuff, but we weren't really like over or anything like that. We weren't stars at the time, you know. So we were just like, yeah, okay. I mean, this is Vince's idea. We'll kind of just go for it and see what happens. Like none of us really thought anything about it until we a few months later we saw the impact it made on people, especially people that have worked there for like 20, 30, 40 years. You know, there's crew guys in WWE that have worked there for decades. And when even they come up to you like, wow, that was really cool. That's when we realized we were like, okay, wow, this is something really cool. And it was really fun to be a part of.
It was really fun to see it happen. So, I mean, this went on for a few weeks until Vince McMahon forced you all to be signed to contracts. Amongst all the destruction and the story with Cena, you actually are one of the people, not many, but one of the people that gets to say you pinned him for a victory. What did it feel like getting to be the one to get the victory over him in the televised handicap match you all had?
That was pretty cool. I think I believe that happened more than once, and especially on live events. It happened for like 6 months straight. But
Yeah, well, of course. Speaking of televised, not
sure,
everybody knows
sure,
what
sure,
happened to the live events, but for sure, for sure, for sure. And can you talk a little bit
sure.
about?
I mean, I got to work, right, and I got to work with John, you know, so, like for months, and that was really, really cool. You know, regardless of what people say about him, he is a master at this craft. He knows this business inside and out. Like I learned so much from him, and it was an honor to be in there with him. You know, and I don't know why I got so much chance. I guess I was, for lack of better term, more capable than anyone else in my group to have those kind of matches, I guess.
Sure, sure, sure.
But yeah, it was a fun time. It was really cool. And you know, coming from South Africa, I'm the only South African who's ever made it. You know, I remember being a kid and my mom was like, "No one from South Africa has ever made it," and I was like, "Great, then I'll be the first." So wrestling is incredibly big in South Africa right now. It's the third biggest market in the world. Many people don't know this. So when I did pin John Cena, even till this day, you know, people always remember like, "Hey, that's Justin Gabriel. He pinned John Cena." So I guess that's a really cool feeling.
Amazing, amazing. So, now to the more personal side of things, and I guess it makes the fact that Matt Hardy, one of the kings of Extreme, was your mentor when you started on NXT. But getting to the more personal side of things, you are known to have a taste for the extreme. You're a base jumper, but you did have a pretty crazy accident. Can you talk more about that, and if it has affected you as a wrestler today, if you want to speak?
Yeah, I broke both of my legs twice actually. I've had two crazy accidents. The doctors told me I'll never walk again, and I'm usually one of those people who proves people wrong. You know, like when my mom told me I'd never make it to the WWE, it's like, well, now I guess I'll show you. Same with the doctors. They told me I'll never walk again. I have steel pins in this leg. I have 23 screws in this leg. I have titanium in this leg with hinges. And you know, they told me I'll probably never wrestle again, struggle to walk again. And I was like, well, I guess I'll show everyone wrong. And now I'm doing the same stuff. I'm probably doing even crazier things these days. Here I am doing backflips again at my age. And I believe that the mind over matter, right? Your mind is way more powerful than you can ever imagine. And if you set out to do any goal, I believe you can do it. And I'm living proof of that.
Absolutely. Amen to that. That is an amazing story. And you clearly persevere and you clearly push through. And I guess now I got a few questions left, meaning that take on a different meaning now. We're going to talk about your future now. So you mentioned it a little bit previously, but would you ever return to the WWE? Do you ever see yourself on AEW program?
I mean, never say never for WWE. I did show them this new character I've been working on. I sent them the package. I sent it to all the writers, the producers, and everyone I know that still works there. And you know, it's kind of mixed reviews. Everyone's like, interesting. I really want to see what's next. Some people were like, wow, there's so much we could do with it because there's so many layers to unpack. Some of the AEW people were just like, oh yeah, this is cool, but can you just be Darewolf? And I was like, yeah, I can do that too. So we'll see what happens. I haven't really had like any like solid offers or anything like that. But like I said, I don't. It would be nice, but I mean, I'm not gonna wait around for that before I pull the trigger on this character. So we'll see. We'll see it. I mean, it's a very interesting time in wrestling right now. There's so many companies and great talents all over the world. So I think it's a really exciting time. This is what I like about wrestling. You know, like if it evolves. And if you don't adapt, then you get left behind. And then you'll see guys like Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio, who's been around forever and ever and ever, and they just kind of like adapt and go. So I'm trying to like be like, not be like Chris Jericho, but kind of just adapting to the time, reinventing myself, playing a new character, or like just bringing some new things to the table that I think will be fresh and exciting.
We can't wait to see that. And so do you feel that your character, now, given what you've just said, do you feel like your character would thrive in a Triple H run world or in a Tony Khan run world or elsewhere?
That's a good question. Whoever gives me more freedom, I think it'll thrive in. But I'm also open to, because it is a little bit way out there. Like my mind works a little bit different than most people, right? So one thing I learned from Dusty Rhodes in WWE is like, give them too much, because they can always like pull you back and kind of guide you towards out, rather than kind of like not giving them anything and be like, oh, come on, do something. So that's why I'm going way over the top with this. Wait till you see the vignettes. I'm sure I've posted some teasers on my Instagram a while back, but it's a little bit out there, this character. But I believe that's what people want, right? Like we kind of went through this reality era. I remember the Attitude Era, and then it was like the reality era, and I call it the Hunter era right now. Like wrestling keeps evolving, so I feel like this character will fit in anywhere, really, especially now, because I believe that now with like Marvel and DC and all these superhero movies that are good, most people know the business, right? So they want to be entertained. They want to see over the top characters. Like look at Bray Wyatt, like how cool, that's one of the coolest characters, right? That's what I think, that's what people want to see. So that's why I'm creating this like super over the top character. And if I do go to one of those companies, they can always just tell me to kind of hold it back or whatever. You know, I feel like Tony Khan would not hold it back so much. But then again, Triple H, I respect him, and I think he has some amazing ideas and probably stuff that I haven't even thought of yet. So I mean, I'm open to any of those things. We'll see what happens. It's going to be an exciting year for sure.
100%. Do you watch the current product?
I watched a little bit here and there. I watched the pay-per-views. You know, my good friend Taya Valkyrie, she's on AEW, so I've been watching all that stuff. I was at the pay-per-view in Vegas because I had a couple of shows there that weekend too. I mean, I'm a fan. We're all fans, right? I love wrestling. There's just so much to watch these days. Like I watched NXT the other day, and I didn't know any of those people were. They were all fantastic, like amazing performers, but I don't know any of them. You know, and in wrestling, you kind of want to gravitate towards a character that you know, right? If you watch it all the time, you have your favorites and your non-favorites and stuff like that. I just didn't know anybody there, but the product was amazing. I feel it's such a unique time in pro wrestling right now.
I agree with you 1,000,000%. And with all that being said, we've covered a lot today, and we've kind of hinted, or rather you have kind of hinted in your answers throughout what the answer to this might be, but I'll ask you again, what are your goals for the year ahead, and what can we be expecting from you?
Yeah, I would really just want to bring this character to life, show people what these ideas I have in my mind. And you know, even if people don't like it, like I still, the wrestling to me is an art, right? It's one of the reasons I left WWE, because I didn't feel like that side of me was appreciated enough, and maybe prematurely left, but whatever. Like this is what I do. I'm an artist, and I want to bring this character to life. That's like one of the last things I want to do before I ever hang the boots up. But I mean, I feel like I have at least have another 10 years in me. My body feels good. My legs are getting stronger and stronger every day. And now I have steel pins in them. So now insecurity can be a finish. You know, remember like Lex Luger at the
Double the
I mean,
power.
there's so many layers, right? There's so many layers to this. And that's all I really want to do. I'm taking a lot of bookings for the summer again. I got France coming up next month, Jamaica coming up, Miami, Denver. So every weekend I'll be super busy. Not much in August yet, but that's another dilemma I have yet. Like, do I go full on with this character like on the independent circuit, or do I wait? It's like this is what I got to decide, and hopefully by the end of the summer, I'll have a much better plan and a much better answer for you on that. But for now, that's what I'm doing. I'm just kind of still polishing this character and just taking as many bookings as I can right now.
Well, thank you so much for telling us all of that. We are excited to see you in the ring once more. And where can we find out where your next matches will be? Do we follow you on Twitter, Instagram? What's the best way for us the fan pretty much to know where you're going to be at, so we can see you in a match.
Yeah, Twitter and Instagram, and I have a little Facebook page. But I mean, I'm pretty active on Instagram mostly. So I post all the upcoming events and posters and some cool stuff on Instagram. That's probably the best way.
Okay, and you could be found by PJ Black or Dr. Black.
On
You have
Instagram, it's PJ450.
PJ450. Okay. Well, PJ, thank you so much for your time today. This has been a great interview, a lot of fun, and I'm sure that a lot of fans, when they're going to be watching this, are going to be very surprised to hear the things that you have been through and the things that you're going to be doing. And I'm sure everybody will be excited by this new character you're creating, especially me. I can't wait to see it. So before we go, is there anything you want to tell the fan? Anybody watching this?
No, no. Thank you so much for that, Ari. That was a wonderful interview. I just want to tell people, like, if you have a dream, go for it. You know, just don't listen to anybody else. Just do you. Nobody else knows you. Nobody knows what's in there, right? So if you follow your heart and you add some passion to whatever you're doing, you'll make it. It doesn't matter. It might take you a little bit longer than most people, but it's the heart knows what it wants. And yeah, just follow your heart, not so much your brain.
Love it. Follow your heart. Thank you so much, PJ Black.
Appreciate you, Ari.
Thank you.